is, and this represents the time that this man will have his power. 3.5 years. Time, times, and a dividing of time. Now, let's read something here from the Universal Standard Encyclopedia, volume 20, page 7321. Show you what happened with the Roman Empire. I want you to read just that section that's underlined right in there. Universal Standard Encyclopedia, volume 20. Go ahead and read.
Rome, Republic of Rome.
Go ahead.
The last Western Roman Empire, Romulus Augustulus.
Western Emperor, Romulus Augustulus. Go ahead and read.
475-76 AD was overthrown by the barbarian Odoacer.
Go ahead.
Who was proclaimed
now,
the king of Italy. Now,
these are some of these three that was plucked up by the roots. Some of the barbarian kings, the Vandals, the Heruli, and the Ostrogoths. Go ahead and read on.
Who was proclaimed king of Italy by his troops.
Go ahead.
The history of Rome then merged with that of the papacy.
Wait a minute. He said the history of Rome then merged with that of the papacy. And the papacy, well, I'm gonna read you what the papacy is, but go ahead and finish that.
The Holy Roman Empire, the papal states in Italy.
Now he said, and the Holy Roman Empire. Now, I'm going to just read you what the papacy is, because we are dealing with two governments here. We are dealing with the secular government that was a part of the Roman Empire, and we are dealing with the religious government as well, and it is called the papacy. Let's go and read this time from World Book Encyclopedia, volume 15, page 586. Okay, read what's underlined there as papacy. Go ahead and read.
The system of government of the Roman Catholic Church, with the Pope as supreme head, is called the papacy.
That's what the papacy is. It is a government, and it is and the Pope and it said of the Roman Catholic Church. It said, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
And who is the head? The Pope is the head of it. Go ahead and read on.
The word papacy also refers to the office of the Pope. The congregations, the tribunals, and offices in Rome through which the Pope governs the church make up the Curia.
So it is a government then. And it's through this government that he governs the church. Go ahead and read a little bit more.
The Pope's seat of authority is in Rome.
And the Pope's seat of authority sits where? It sits in Rome. Go ahead and read on.
It is called the Apostolic See or the Holy See.
Go ahead.
The Pope lives in the Vatican Palace, located in the interdependent state of Vatican City. Vatican City lies within the city of Rome.
Now, that's what Vatican City is. So now he is the head over government, and he is the head over a religious government. That is why it said it was diverse from the other 10 horns, because it is a religious government, whereas the other 10, they were secular governments. Now, let's go and read some here. Let's go back to the Bible. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Revelation chapter 13. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Because all of this stuff that we are reading in history, it is written in the Bible as well. But you got to have some history to be able to understand it when you read it in the Bible. So now, what did you have after 476 AD? It was some years after 476 AD. You had a merging of the secular government with the religious government known as the papacy, which is the government of the Roman Catholic Church, and the Pope is the head of that government. Let's go now to Revelation chapter 13, and we'll begin reading at verse 1. 13 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea.
Now this beast that John saw rising up out of the sea, who is this beast? It is Rome. That's who it is. It is that last beast that was in the 7th chapter of Daniel. It is Rome. Go ahead and read.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns.
Go ahead.
And upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Go ahead and read.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear,
Go ahead.
and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
Now notice where he got it. You know, everybody look at this man as if they so pious. You understand what I'm saying? But notice where the book says he got his power and his seat and great authority from. He got it from the dragon. And who is the dragon? That is the devil. We're going to deal with that some more next week as well. But go ahead and read that next verse now.
And I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death.
Now he said, I saw one of his heads as if it was wounded unto death. And what he saw was what was considered as the fall of the Roman Empire that took place in 476 AD. He said, I saw one of his heads as it was wounded unto death. But the beast could not die. You understand what I'm saying? Because the beast got to be around at the coming of the Lord. It just appeared as if it died. Go ahead and read on.
And his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast.
Now, the wound was inflicted in 476 AD, and that wound is yet to be healed. But because it said, I saw and the deadly wound was healed, and all of the world wondered after the beast. Show you what happened using some history here. Let's read something here from Funk and Wagnalls Encyclopedia, volume 12, and we're going to read what's underlined in red. We're reading from page 421. Okay, go ahead and read.
Holy Roman Empire.
Holy Roman Empire. Oh, it's not just the Roman Empire. After the merging, first it wasn't initially called the Holy Roman Empire. It was initially called the Empire in the West. But then some generations passed, and then they started to call it the Holy Roman Empire. Because, you had the merging of the religious government with the secular government. So now it is called the Holy Roman Empire. Because you had this merging that took place. Go ahead and read on.
A political entity in Western Europe from 800 to 1806.
Go ahead.
It was initially known as the Empire in the West.
That's what it was initially known as. But later on, they started to call it the Holy Roman Empire. Go ahead and read some more.
In the 11th century, it was called the Roman Empire. And in the 12th century, the Holy Empire.
Go ahead and read.
The Holy Roman Empire was an attempt to revive the Western Roman Empire.
Well, it was a what? It was an attempt. It said a deadly wound was it said that it was afflicted with a deadly wound. He said, I saw one of his heads as if it was wounded unto death. Okay. And it said a deadly wound was healed. And what was this merger? It was an attempt to revive the Roman Empire. That is what it was about. An attempt to, because the deadly wound got to be healed. And they have been trying to heal it ever since back then. They still hadn't gotten it, but they've been working on it. Read a little bit more.
Which has ceased to exist after barbarians removed the last emperor,
that
Romulus.
Has ceased to exist after 476 AD, in other words. Go ahead and read on.
The last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, in 476.
Go ahead.
During the turbulent Dark Ages, the traditional concept of a temporal realm coexisted with the spiritual realm of the church.
Wait a minute, it said a secular realm, a temporal realm coexisted with a spiritual realm of the church. And they didn't always get along so well. We're going to read a little bit about that later as well. Now, did you finish that? Well, go ahead.
No,
let's just read another account here. This time we'll read from the Universal Standard Encyclopedia, volume 12. Go ahead and read that.
The establishment of the Holy Roman Empire represented, as the original styling implies, an attempt to resuscitate the Western Roman Empire.
Now here we have it again, an attempt to resuscitate. In other words, to bring it back to life. It appeared as if it had died. But when they did this merging, that was an attempt to resuscitate it. So they have been trying to resuscitate it ever since way back then. But they have not accomplished it yet. But they will, because the book said a deadly wound was healed, and all of the world wondered after the beast. So it will be healed. They're working on it. It's almost healed now. It's just got a little scratch now, because it's almost healed. Yeah, the reason I know, because I look over there and I see the rise of the European common market, and it is made up of 10. There are really 10 real members. We're going to read a little bit about that later. So now, it's just a little scratch now. It's barely bleeding now, but it's almost healed. because it must be healed, and all of the world, it said, is going to run out. This end time stuff you reading about, people. This ain't ancient stuff. This is end time stuff. You got to understand the ancient in order to understand what is going on today. Let's start reading here now. Let's get back to the Bible. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 13, and we'll pick it up at verse 11. Revelations 13. And we'll pick it up at verse 11. And when it is finally healed, this is the look that it will have. Start reading at verse 11. Go ahead and read.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And it had two horns like a lamb, and it spake as a dragon.
Wait a minute. He said, now I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, and it spake as a dragon. What do these two horns represent? They represent the two governments. They represent the rulers of the two governments, the religious government and the secular government, the religious ruler and the secular ruler. Go ahead and read on.
And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him.
Go ahead.
And causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
Go ahead.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Go ahead.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live.
So now I just want you to understand that these are two rulers over two governments here that we are dealing with here, because it said he deceived the people by the miracles that he had power to do, didn't it? Let's go to Revelation chapter 19, and we'll pick it up at verse 11. First, we're going to show you what time we are dealing with. We are dealing with the coming of the Lord here, and show you who's going to be around at the coming of the Lord. Start reading at Revelation 19 and begin reading at verse 11. Revelation 19 and 11. You need to understand this in order, because we make statements about the Pope going to do this, Pope going to do that, Rome going to do this, and Rome going to do that. You need to understand some history in order to understand this latter-day prophecy here. This is latter-day stuff. This is stuff that you are going to witness if you hang around for a little while longer. Daniel told you. He said the dream thereof is certain and the interpretation thereof is sure. He said, Nebuchadnezzar, this is for the latter days. Say no. Everybody, you read all that old stuff way back there. No, I'm reading that stuff way back there so you can understand what's coming in the near future. You need to understand what it is that you're going to be faced with. Because you're going to be faced with something that ain't pretty. Lord left you out, though, however. Lord always leave you out. But however, what's about to come on this earth, it is not going to be pretty at all. That's why the Bible calls it a time of trouble like there has never been before or shall never be again. Think about that. Start reading here at, I just want to help you understand that them two horns, they were dealing with two rulers, one over the religious government and the other over the secular government. Start reading at Revelation chapter 19 and begin at verse 11. So first we can see what time we are dealing with here. Go ahead and read.
And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse.
Go ahead.
And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war.
And this is the coming of the Lord. That is what you're reading about, and thank God he's coming too. Because you got these mad men that is ruling this earth, and the Lord said if he didn't come when he came, then there would be no flesh left alive. Think about that too. If you don't think you want to see the master, or you want to see nuclear annihilation. Now, which one you want to see? Because it's going to be one or the other. Thank God for Jesus Christ. Go ahead and read on.
His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns.
Go ahead and read.
And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself.
Go ahead.
And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of God.
And his name is called the Word of God. You know who the Word of God is, right? That is Jesus. Skip down to verse 16. Go ahead and read.